So hello there, attendees. Nice to see you join us today. My name is Joe Ball and I'm one of the lecturers here at the University of Kent in the School of Anthropology and Conservation. And here with me is Nadia Chang, who's one of our students, who's going to talk shortly. And it's great to be speaking with you tonight. I'm just going to give a quick introduction to the Wildlife Conservation course. Yes, hopefully you can all see my slides. Oh, I need to press the play button, I think. Sorry about that. All right, good. So I'm obviously going to talk a bit, give you a small introduction towards the Wildlife Conservation course. I'm actually, what I'm going to do is move a couple of these things on my screen. So just give me 1 second, because we're very technologically enabled here, but it's getting in the way of my slides. So obviously the Wildlife Conservation course is really designed to give students a comprehensive basis in the natural sciences. But a big focus that we have here, which is slightly different to a lot of other places, is that we also include training in the human dimensions of conservation, because it's as much about social issues as it is about biological ones. How do I go on? Click. Or just click. Okay, good. So what I thought I'd do, rather than go straight into all the different modules we have, is actually talk about some of the more interesting bits of the course, which for me certainly, and hopefully for some of you as well, is the kind of more practical aspects of the course. So one of the key things we really push with the Wildlife Conservation course here is the practical aspects, by which I mean field-based work, field trips, and so forth. So what we have here is a selection of the kind of places that we visit as part of the first few years of the course. And we have this idea that we'd like to get students out on at least 2 field trips for every term that they're studying on the course. And these could be field trips to areas that are interesting for in terms of the natural habitat that they contain. So for example, we've got examples here like Sampire Hoe, Kingswood, or interesting in terms of, for example, animal behavior, which is why we have visits to places like Howlett Zoo, and so forth. And we also have a number of other field trips that aren't included on here. Some students, for example, really enjoy going to look at agri-environment systems, so we have a number of visits to farms, or working farms, which obviously then focus more on the kind of social aspects of conservation, wildlife conservation. But in any case, the point is, one of the things that really underpins the course here is this focus on practical experiences and field trips. And some of the courses that are, some of the field trips, that are on this slide are more UK based, but we also have a number of trips abroad. So 2 of the really big field trips that we organise abroad every year are carried out over the summer break. And one is a kind of tropical field ecology course we run over in Borneo, Malaysia, which can be taken for credit, which is optional, of course, but lots of students go on it every year. And the other one that to mention here is the trip we have to a kind of field research station based out in the Amazon in Peru. So to give you an example of the kind of more further afield field trips we tend to offer here. And then beyond that, lots of students end up doing their own research projects abroad themselves and organising that with our support. So that gives you an idea of some of the kind of more practical elements of the course. Now, I've just included here a slide on the actual structure of the Wildlife Conservation course, which I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time looking at, but a few things to pick out from it are, first of all, each one of these blue boxes is a module that some or all students take. You can see from the little P's, the little yellow stars, that's all of the modules that have some kind of practical element to them. So you can see that we really do try and emphasize lots of field-based field work and field practice-based learning. This was split into the 3 stages, which is obviously the 3 different years of the standard course. And one thing to look at here is that there's a set of core modules that all students take, which include things like experimental methods, data analyses, research projects, that kind of stuff. And then we have all the kind of optional modules. And you'll see that as you go through the 3 years of the course, there's fewer and fewer modules which are core and required by all students, and much more freedom and choice in terms of which modules students do. The other thing to pull out of this slide is that you'll see in between stages 2 and 3, we have the option for students to do a year in professional practice, which a lot of students increasingly do. And that will then obviously convert the Wildlife Conservation course into a 4-year course. And you spend your 3rd year doing some kind of interesting internship with an organisation somehow linked to conservation science and the learning outcomes of your course. So just on this slide, we have a couple of logos of some of the places that and organisations that students have gone to work with. And really, there's a huge range in terms of those organisations. It's everything from very local organisations, such as we had a student last year or the year before working at the White Cliffs kind of heritage site, which is around the corner from us, near Dover. through to students that have gone out to do conservation projects in Uganda or in India and all over the world, really. One of my students has currently just got back from a year in national parks in Uganda, photographing chimpanzees and working with researchers, behavioural researchers out there. Now, a final thing just to mention, I've talked a bit about the course. It's practical based, it's flexible, it kind of involves lots of interesting travel. Is that the people who teach the course are all active researchers themselves. So I'm clearly one of the lecturers on the course, and I have a specialty. So, you know, I have my own research interests and carry out scientific research. And whenever I'm not teaching, my own interests are in kind of the impacts of big development activities on biodiversity and on nature more generally. So, for example, building huge roads, pipelines, mines, that kind of stuff. I'm interested in how to reduce the impacts those have on nature. But if you look across this set of different people on this slide in front of you now, there are people doing all kinds of different things. We have conservation geneticists. We have people focusing on the social aspects of conservation. So how, for example, national parks affect human well-being. We have some leading primate behavior ecologists. We have people working in different parts of the world. So some people here work in Southeast Asia, some work in Central Asia, others work in South America. And really, if you've got interest in any areas of any disciplines or any kind of geographical areas of the world, feel free to ask about it when we have the question session coming up. But just to really emphasize again that all the teaching we do here is delivered by people who are actually active scientists working in the field. And that is all I'm going to talk about for now. So I've kind of said here on my final slide questions, in case anyone wants to ask any questions, but actually I think it probably makes more sense if I hand over to our student, Nadia Chang, so she can talk about her experience with the course, and then we've got lots of time for questions later. So, Nadia.
Hi. Yeah, so I've been asked to talk about just some the usual questions that people normally ask. So the highlights of the course and campus life as a student. So in terms of, I guess, highlights, I would say definitely the survey and monitoring for biodiversity module that I just took for the previous term. And so that was essentially the module that I guess most wildlife conservationists students expect to take for wildlife conservation. So we actually get to go out into the field and do all these field surveys, and we did 4 in total. So we did a Newts survey, we did a bird survey, a woodland survey, and also reptile survey. And so yeah, that was really cool because we actually got to go out and we got to basically be conservationists and interact with the wildlife and also record data and process the data and everything. And yeah, my favorite was the Newts survey. And so we went to the pond area that's literally right behind our campus. And in that pond site, we have 3 newt species. So the great crested newt species, and that's a national protected species, and also the palmate and smooth newts. And we got to touch them and take photos of their belly patterns and later identify them through their belly patterns. And so that was really cool. And as first years, we obviously are amateurs, and we genuinely just having fun throughout the experience was really great. And yeah, just one of the best memories was literally recording data with my group mates. And even though we were such amateurs and we didn't know what we were doing, we were just having fun learning in the process and trying new things. Yeah. When it comes to campus, just campus living, yeah, the Kent campus is really nice. Right now, it's such an amazing day. The sky is super blue, and yeah, the campus is really green. There's so many places that you can literally just visit. That's right behind us. So this morning I went on a run in the Blean, which is a national, it's a protected area? Yeah, protected area. And the woodland's really nice. And yeah, there are a lot of fields and green spaces around the campus. And it's also situated on top of a hill, which is quite secluded, but still near Canterbury, which offers a very safe environment as well. And we're right next to Canterbury. It's a 10-minute bus ride away, and Canterbury is a really, really quaint little town. Yeah, so I really like the campus. What other questions are there? Yeah.
Do you think all the things I said about the course were roughly true?
Yeah,
so
they were
we
quite.
obviously talked about I guess you're only in your first year,
yes.
so the experience you've had of kind of getting out. It sounds like certainly you've got out and about quite a lot with the field work.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've had much? Have you had a good selection of modules so far, or
yeah? So
what kind of ones have you chosen optionally yourself?
The wildlife conservation course, as you've mentioned, is quite dynamic in the sense that it incorporates biological aspects, so sciencey bits. So this year I took a module in called Green Planet, and it's completely biology based. Yeah, so it focuses on the biology of plants, but at the same time we also have modules that incorporate more of the social aspects. So that would be Ethno Biology, which is an optional module, and I really, really enjoyed that module because what Ethno Biology is the relationships between humans and animals and plants and how that's evolved throughout the years. And it delves into anthropology, a bit of history, a bit of everything essentially. And yeah, that was really interesting because yeah, I think conservation, looking at the social aspect, is also very important because obviously humans impact wildlife, and that's how a lot of these human-wildlife conflict occur. So ethnobiology was very, very insightful. Yeah, and a lot of reading was very relevant as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed that module.
Have you come from more of a kind of biology background or a social science background? And what did you come because you're super interested in conservation? Like, what was your? I think
I came from a bit of both. So I did biology as my high school qualification, and we also did a lot of humanities subjects as well. So a bit of both, definitely. But personally, I enjoy learning about how, as in addition to enjoying the field work, I also like learning about the social aspects of everything. Yeah. Another question that just popped into my mind was the extracurriculars that the uni offers. So there are a lot of extracurricular activities that suit broad base of interests. So there are people that, if you're into competitive sports, Kent Uni offers a lot of sporting societies. If you're not that competitive like me, the Rambling Society is quite nice. I mean, as conservationists, a lot of people tend to like to be in nature, and so the Rambling Society offers a lot of trips around Kent, and Kent itself is such an amazing little county with a lot of picturesque natural sites. And so we went to Dover once. They organized walks to Kingswood and Wye, and yeah, just places like that. There are societies that offer baking. Yeah, and there are opportunities for you to step out of your comfort zone as well. So the Scuba Diving Society offers a lot of scuba diving trips abroad and also in Whitstable. And I think in terms of extracurriculars, you really have to, you have the option to take hold of what opportunities you have. So I know the Bleen, which is the protected site that I mentioned earlier, they take in volunteers, and so I went in to volunteer quite a few times. And so yeah, you kind of just make the most of all of the opportunities that's offered to you. Yeah.
Although presumably you can do competitive rambling if you really want to, or even competitive baking, I guess.
Oh yeah, I think they do.
They do competitive baking. I haven't done any competitive baking, but I'm sure students do.
Yeah.
You're right about the campus and the kind of surrounding areas. They're being
Mm-hmm.
really nice. That's one of the things that attracted me here, because I'm not from here, I'm from elsewhere in the UK, but one of the things I love about this campus is its location and the kind of county it's in and so forth. And the Bleam Woods that you mentioned, these beautiful old woodlands, just on the edge of the campus that are quite extensive. It's an RSPB reserve, so it's quite high biodiversity. So what kind of attracted you? What made you choose Kent, if you don't mind me asking? Since I guess that's what's the kind of decisions that some of our listeners are thinking about.
Well, I chose Kent because of the module, actually. Not the module, the course, actually. Before coming here, I didn't even research the university, the campus itself. But I was in for a surprise because I was so lucky, because it is an amazing campus. But the course was initially what attracted me to Kent, because as I said, I was interested in learning about the social aspects as well, because I do like humanities subjects. And so how the course kind of balances both science and social science was what attracted me to the course, as well as the field trip opportunities. So I really want to go to Borneo and maybe Peru in the future. And so, the fact that DICE offers those opportunities was also a key factor. And also how the course is linked to DICE, which is in itself a very reputable organization in the field of conservation. And so, definitely DICE.
We should probably just emphasize that if any of you listening want to ask any questions, please do. As I understand, they'll come up on a little screen in front of us, so I think you have to type them. We can't see any right now, but please do ask questions. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking until we've kind of used up our time period. So just to say that. But just on that, I think that's interesting that you say that, the course and was what attracted you, and it was for those reasons, because that's actually exactly what attracted me as a lecturer here. You look for a part, if you're interested in conservation science, like genuinely interested in conservation, and you don't want to work in a department which is focused on almost entirely on biology, which is really a lot of departments in universities around the world that have some kind of conservation course, whether they're really based in a biology department. This is one of the few courses and departments that I really found that actually has that mixture of biology, conservation biology, true biology, but also kind of the social sciences as well, which makes it, a much more rounded approach to conservation science, which is pretty unique. So, we have the same thing. We do have a question. Should we see what the question says?
What's the question?
So Sorrel has asked us, do you have any recommended preparation that I could do before beginning the course, e.g. any books I should read over the summer? Okay, interesting. Well, that's a positive vote for actually doing the course. Do you want to go first as a student, experiencing your first year?
Yeah, so before coming to university, I did do a bit of research on just conservation in general. I read quite a few books on animal behavior, but you don't really have to go into detail, but obviously people that come in tend to have already developed an interest in kind of conservation. So personally, my favorite animal, or I really like marine animals, and so I did read up on marine animals and stuff, and having that prior knowledge is quite useful, because when you learn about all of the theories, for example, when I took your course in biodiversity, just learning about the dynamics, population dynamics and risks and stuff, and really being able to apply those concepts into what you originally learned, that's also helpful in your overall understanding. And so you don't have to, I wouldn't recommend intense reading, because there's no pressure for you to do so, and you have tons of time at university to do more exploration, but just to get that initial curiosity going and the creative juices to flow, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's good advice. I think I would definitely echo Nadia's statement that, once you get to university, you'll have time to read all the textbooks and all that kind of stuff and all the really technical stuff. So don't worry about that right now. It's more about getting the creative juices flowing. And if I could recommend any things, it would be take the chance to read, if you haven't already, some of the classics. Read like Silent Spring by Rachel Carson or something like that, which is just such an incredibly influential book in the kind of field of conservation. So Silent Spring would be one. A book I read recently, which I loved. When I say recently, it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, was a kind of book by Daniel Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow, which is written by a Nobel Prize-winning economist, actually, but is incredibly relevant to all the stuff we do, because it's all about the way people think and how they make decisions. And I'm not necessarily selling it as an exciting book, but it's kind of a #1 bestseller. It's this guy's summary, kind of popular layperson's summary of his incredible work. So Thinking Fast and Slow would be another one. Or maybe even just a really brilliant classic academic paper. So one that I've always loved actually is at the root of a lot of conservation science, and certainly ecology, is Hutchinson's Why Are There So Many Animals, or Why Are There So Many Species, I think it's called. But the full title is Homage to Santa Rosalia, or Why Are There So Many Species, and it's about his kind of journey on a pilgrimage to a statue that had lots of different puddles within the different parts of the statue, which different species were colonizing, different species of water beetle. And that's a way he uses to describe niche theory, like different ecological niches. So there are a couple of really classic, brilliant papers that you don't need to read for the course necessarily, but whilst you've got this time before university starts, read. I would advise reading stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of to basically for the exact reasons you're saying. So.
Yeah. Just to emphasize, SAC is such a great school. There's such a positive vibe going everywhere, because I think there's something special being in an environment where people are like-minded and actually care about and are passionate about similar issues that you are. So yeah, over this year, I feel so encouraged, and I felt so encouraged and also super inspired by the people around me. The fact that professors are actually researching in their relevant fields, and just listening to you guys talk about your research to us during lectures. It's super relevant. And also the people around here and the students course mates that I've met, they're all super proactive in enacting change, and being in that environment is really encouraging. So I know people, for example, the Extinction Rebellion kind of movement, yes, movement, that's the word, that's been going on. There are 2 SAC students that are in charge of the wing that's happening in Canterbury, and just being in such an encouraging environment where everyone's just passionate about enacting change is so inspiring. Yeah.
And that's a good point. And it's not just and it's great to hear as well that passion comes across, and that you creates that environment for students, because it certainly is the way for staff as well. In fact, a number of the staff are involved in Extinction Rebellion too. I'm not sure we're supposed to talk about that, but
we're getting political now.
Well, exactly. We shouldn't get too political, but certainly there's a lot of passion for conservation in the School of Anthropology and Conservation. I would say as well, in terms of kind of that more general interest in conservation beyond just what's taught on the course, I feel like we do a pretty good job of having kind of an interesting kind of seminar series and set of lectures, and we invite a lot of people in, don't we? So we Save the Rhino people, like the head of Save the Rhino, come in. We recently had a guy come in, Professor Thomas, who maybe some of you will have heard of or not, but he did an amazing lecture all about how human activities are creating new species to evolve. So actually there's an argument that we're creating more species than we're causing to go extinct. There's all these brilliant speakers that come in and give us these really thought-provoking talks. To me, that's one of the big things here as well, is it's, we're quite outward facing. We're interested in the broader world of conservation.
And just being supplemented that knowledge is really great. And just being in touch with the research that's going on right now.
Yeah, I'm glad that comes across. I'm just seeing if this is actually another question that's come up. Or it's not. No, it didn't happen. And I'm glad that research comes across in the way we teach. Certainly it's something that a lot of us try and do is bring, use our research to benefit other teaching that we do. It also extends then obviously into student research projects. So I guess, Nadia, you won't have done a research project yet because you're first year, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and probably haven't even started thinking about research projects yet.
Started well, not exactly stressing, but people have been talking about it. The energy's going, so.
I mean, you don't. That's good that people are talking about it. You don't have to talk about it yet.
That's a relief.
But next year you will, obviously. But what we often have is a lot of our students work with their staff then to go and do their research projects. So our undergrads do a big research project in the third year, which is obviously in common with a lot of other courses and other universities. But really, there's the range of projects they do, because they often collaborate with staff members who send them out to interesting places to do research projects, is actually quite good. And I guess that's something,
Yeah, I remember someone telling me that someone this year went to South Africa or somewhere in Africa to work with rhino dehorning.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I'm not involved in that project myself, so I couldn't talk about the details. But yeah, that's exactly right. We have a student in South Africa working on that. Rhino dehorning, obviously, in terms of preventing rhinos from being poached rather than collecting rhino horn. But yeah, it's incredibly controversial, but it's super interesting kind of topic. And we have one of the most interesting student projects that I've just actually looked at, because they've all just come in for the last year actually. Wasn't even to do with wildlife conservation. It was the one about microplastics in the sea.
Oh yeah, I remember listening to that one.
You did? Yeah. She talked about it, did she?
Because so she was on a boating trip, I think, from Hawaii to
Alaska.
Canada? Alaska. Yeah. I remember, because I went to one of her presentations and she was talking about it. Yeah. Right.
So she's one of our students who's very proactive, and she did this amazing research project where, as Nadia says, she sailed from Hawaii to Alaska and took the density of microplastic pollution in the sea as kind of a study in itself, but also interesting from the point of view of kind of impacts on wildlife. As I'm sure you will know about, it's in the news a lot at the moment, right? Microplastics. Yeah. She also did an interesting year in professional placement, which I'll tell you about in a second, because we do actually have a question now. So we should definitely answer those rather than, we have a few. Oh, wow. So first of all, this is a good one for you, maybe, Nadia. Yeah. How is the course in terms of stress? Is there a lot of revision involved? And you can answer truthfully.
Well, it is exam season now, and I'm about to have my first exam on Saturday. And so, yes, I am kind of tensed right now, but I mean, it's revision that is quite fun to do, because if you're into conservation, you would enjoy doing. This is such a. Well, it might come across as fake, but obviously there's stress involved, but at least it's not maths. So I do, it's more enjoyable at revision. And plus, a lot of the content that we go through, we have to actually supplement with case studies. And throughout revision, you're still constantly learning about all of the issues that are happening, human-wildlife conflict, poaching. Poaching is actually one of the topics that I'm super, super into. And we cover that a lot in one of the modules that we do called Environmental Sustainability, which touches upon ecological economics. Compared to maths revision, it is way better than maths revision. So if you're stressing about your A-levels, it's better than A-levels. But obviously there is pressure, because you want to do well in a subject that you're passionate about. So don't be too stressed about revision, because you'll probably enjoy what you're learning. Yeah.
That's a very diplomatic answer. But I think, hopefully none of you are maths hobbyists as well after all that. But yeah, I think just to add to what you said, because obviously you can answer that question better than I can as a student here currently. But I would say, there is a lot of revision involved, because the course is it's a high standard of course. So and the students are all very good, and we have a good reputation, I think, in the world. So I think we really do, the exams are serious exams, and there's a lot of revision involved. But I would say there's also a lot of potential support for those who need it. So for example, my office is open every Monday, like clockwork. Most of the afternoon, my office is open for any student who wants to come in and ask any questions about anything any of the courses that I've taught, but also if anything that they've learned on other courses which they're struggling with and which they can't understand by speaking to the relevant lecturers. So, and that's just one aspect of the support that's offered. So, yes, there's a lot of revision. It probably is quite stressful at times because it's exams and they're always a little bit stressful, but I'm glad you enjoy it at least, and just to emphasize there is support there as well, to some extent.
Yeah, and the most important thing is just to enjoy what you're learning, because I think they're not, I mean, you guys aren't out here to get us, right? Because you want us to understand the information and actually be inspired by it and work in some way in the future to help the environment. So I feel like what's important is not the facts and figures, but just applying the information and taking the information and understanding the issues that are involved.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I agree. I'm just going to quickly answer some other questions.
Yes.
So we could keep talking about that, but I want to make sure we cover everyone's questions. So we've all had another question from Sol again, which is, when you go abroad for your course, is it self-funded? I can answer that question probably pretty easily. So if you're talking about the field courses, such as Peru and Borneo, then it's partly self-funded. So it's subsidised, but there is a slight cost to it. It's not a very high cost given how brilliant the trips are, but obviously not everyone can afford it. That's the reason we don't make it mandatory, is because not everyone can afford it necessarily. So we don't want to require students to pay the extra cost. But yeah, so it's somewhat self-funded, but it's subsidised. In terms of research projects, there's often funding for those, and we do, as part of the course, we do have a little pot of money for each student for their research project, which goes towards any costs. But then if they're really expensive for some reason, then obviously that's extra cost on top. So I would say, to answer the question in a nutshell, it isn't entirely self-funded, no, but there is some cost for some trips abroad. Another question we've had from George is, what does the relationship between the DICE Institute and the department involve? So again, shall I take that one? So the way it works is we have the school. I keep talking about the department, but really I should say the school, which is the School of Anthropology and Conservation, which is what we sit within. And the university here is made up of lots of different schools. And the school is where everything takes place. It's, you're registered to the school as a student, we do all the teaching through the school, etc., etc., etc. DICE, and just to be clear for those of you who don't know the acronym, is the Dahle Institute for Conservation and Ecology. So DICE is a research centre which has its own kind of identity. It's within the school. It's kind of a thing that fits within the school, but it's really primarily a research centre. So a lot of the lecturers here, such as myself, who actually do all the teaching in the school to students, are also part of DICE, because our research is relevant to DICE and the research that DICE does. So really, DICE, think of it as kind of a scientific research institute, and that's why it's quite well known. You said yourself that you thought it was had a reputation. So DICE has a reputation for being a good research centre. Now, also, it's a bit of a grey area, because I think a lot of people come here, certainly for the master's programmes that we run, which is less relevant to this conversation here, but for the master's programs we run, a lot of students come for that program because of the links to DICE, and DICE is very kind of closely overlapping with the master's program here. But yeah, in a nutshell, again, DICE is the research centre, and it sits within the school. And a lot of the researchers, a lot of people who teach in the school are also researchers who fit under the banner of DICE. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, good. I think it is a bit of a grey area. I can see where there's some confusion. But yeah. So it's interesting that we haven't got any more questions for now. I'm not sure at what point we bring it to a close, but I think we'll just keep going for another few minutes and just give people a chance to ask any last questions. So please do ask questions if you have any more. But it's interesting, whilst we're waiting for that, it's interesting that you'd heard about DICE, and that was, was that something that attracted you here? Was it part of the reputation, or was that something you've heard about since you got here? Or?
Well, I didn't. Before researching university courses, I had not learned about DICE, but when I was looking at the University of Kent in the Wildlife Conservation course, I saw that it had that link, and so I did some research and found out about it. So yeah, that's how I found out about DICE.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also kind of acknowledges our link to Dahle himself, and with the Dahle in Jersey and so forth. So we have a lot of links with the Dahle Foundation more generally. I think just is a nice nod to the fact that even though it's research and teaching here, we're very applied. You know, we're all conservation practitioners, I should say. And that's a really kind of key focus for all of us here. Again, like you say, because we're all personally motivated to support conservation and so forth, as well as study it in an academic sense. So.
Yeah, and we love, I mean, as a student, it's really, it's really nice to have you guys to, talk about, I mean, you guys being super knowledgeable in your areas and us just getting inspired by you guys and asking you questions, whatever, and not having the pressure during that process. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you feel that way. I hope you're not just saying that for a webinar, because we do strive for kind of a quite flat structure here, don't we? As in, like, it's not very hierarchical. I think it's all quite relaxed, and a lot of the time staff will eat lunch with students. You know, it's kind of a relatively, we try and make it not intimidating and kind of just flat and open. So yeah, I'm glad that's the way it comes across. Yeah. Okay, well, we've been talking for just over half an hour now, which is kind of what we said we'd do, and so we don't want to bore anyone, and it doesn't seem as though there are any last questions necessarily, but obviously for all of you who are on this call, thanks for attending, first of all, we should say, and listening to us talk and asking your questions, and you can get in touch. Is there another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we do have enough last one. What would you tell students who may not meet the entry requirements? So I would say that obviously once we made an offer, I'm not sure about the context for this question, so I'm not sure exactly how to answer it. But obviously we make an offer to a student in terms of the grades they need to get the place here. And there are different offers we make depending on our interaction with the student. I would say, yeah, there's a discussion to be had if if students don't make the grades, and if there's a kind of a good reason for that. But obviously the offer will be kind of based on the expectations for that student. So I think it's quite hard to answer that specific question without really knowing exactly where it's coming from. The main message here is that we're trying to be flexible to some extent, because what we don't want to do is miss out on a great student because of some kind of black and white entry requirement that they don't quite meet. So yeah, so there's flexibility is the main message there, really, I would say. Hopefully that answers the question. Good, okay. Well, I'll just slowly say thank you again to give you a chance for any more questions you might have. But if you don't, then you can obviously follow up. This isn't the end. You can follow up with any of us. You have contact details for people here at the school. And if you want to ask specifically myself or Nadia any more questions, then I presume you don't mind them being forwarded to you if you have them? Okay, luckily neither of us mind. So yeah, if you have any further questions for us specifically, feel free to reach out. And if not, you can just contact the school directly as you will be in touch with them anyway. So yeah, should we go out and enjoy the sunny evening that you mentioned earlier? Very, very nice. Great. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a very nice evening. Bye. X in the top corner.